You're listening to EFT Radio Online, where we explore meridian tapping techniques for self-help and peak performance. By listening to this audio, you agree to the disclaimer located at eftradioonline.com/disclaimer. If you'd like to get the schedule of all the upcoming EFT radio shows and access to archive shows, please visit us at eftradioonline.com, where you can subscribe to our free newsletter.
Are you a fellow peace seeker who is ready to shine? How would it feel to take back your personal power and be calm and centered in any situation? Join empowerment coach Stephenie Farrell for Live Your Best Life, where we'll harness the power of the law of attraction and the art of creating affirmations. Get ready to say yes to your best life.
Welcome, fellow peace seekers. This is empowerment coach Stephenie Farrell, and thanks for joining me today. I'd like to start with a quote today. It's by Jack Kornfield, and it pretty much sums up our show topic. If your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. Self-compassion. It's a treasure that took me a long time to find. Have you ever stopped and observed yourself? I mean, really looked at yourself when you feel like you failed in some small way? Have you ever paid attention to how you speak to yourself or how you treat yourself? Maybe you avoid your feelings by shopping, eating, or drinking too much. Do you acknowledge your own pain? Do you ever look around at everyone else and think, well, they have it easy, and my life is just unfair in some way? Well, if any of these things sound familiar to you, then you're in the right place. You see, I understand what it's like to go through life without self-compassion. I never used to acknowledge my own pain. I avoided it by running away from it or stuffing myself with food. My inner critic would torment me and drown out the voice of my true self. I felt despair, fear. I felt alone. And then I found that treasure of self-compassion after many years of looking for it. Today, I'm sharing some things that I've learned along my journey. I'll guide you through a meditation that'll fill your heart with loving kindness, and then we'll end with some self-compassion tapping. I really want to give you the tools to stop avoiding your pain, start learning to acknowledge it, and start to move through it in a kind, self-supportive, and self-compassionate way. Later, I'll tell you how you can get some support on what we'll cover today, but let's dive in. In high school, I really felt like a loser. I was ashamed of my body, and I felt like there was something inherently wrong with me. As a loner in college, I was filled with fear and internal chaos. I hated school, I hated being alone, and I hated the way I felt inside. My self-critic was pretty harsh to me back then. When I faced a major setback or it all became too much, I avoided my feelings. Food became my coping mechanism, and I used it to numb my emotions. Emotions like guilt, shame, and just sheer loneliness. None of this worked. The self-judgment, the criticism, the avoidance, it just pushed me further and further away from my true self, away from love, and further into fear. Over the years, I gained an interest in yoga and meditation, and it was then that I learned how to surrender and accept my experience as it was. I would try to sit with my emotions and distance myself from them. I'd let the negative thoughts come in, but not allow myself to get caught up in making a story out of them. There were good days and bad days, and sometimes the emotional pain was too much, and I resorted to old behaviors to avoid or deal with my feelings. It wasn't until I found EFT that I can truly say I found forgiveness, loving kindness, and compassion for myself. Don't get me wrong, I think meditation rocks. I mean, I really, really believe that our minds, bodies, and souls are healthier when we have a regular practice. But EFT also has this power to create more self-awareness, to turn off our inner critics and transform our lives. Human beings are compassionate. We're just wired that way. But unfortunately, a lot of us are missing the key of self-compassion. Sure, we can show compassion when dealing with a family member or console a friend going through a rough time, or we even feel a deep sense of sympathy and a desire to alleviate the suffering of a total stranger. But many of us are unable to do this for ourselves. When our thoughts are not good or we feel bad, about a life situation, we don't allow ourselves to stop and to recognize that we're in pain. We don't seem to be even aware of our nasty self-critics. If we perceive that we've failed in some way, our inner critic will tell us things like, I'm stupid, or I'm not good enough, I'm a loser. We don't stop and acknowledge that whatever we're going through, it really, really hurts. We don't accept that we feel bad or that we're suffering, and we shut our feelings out right away. We don't try to console ourselves in any way. Is this how you treat a friend? I mean, really, would you treat a friend this way when they're bummed out, when they've failed at something? No, not likely. So how would you talk to a friend? What would you do for them that you wouldn't even consider doing for yourself? Think about that. Think about it and write it down. Pay attention. It's not a weakness. We deserve to turn this light of compassion on ourselves. It's not a weakness to show ourselves kindness. I know in today's society, there's a belief that if we don't criticize ourselves or we don't come down hard on ourselves, that we won't get anywhere or will lack motivation. And I simply don't think this is true. I don't believe that berating ourselves is a healthy motivating strategy. We can take the time to recognize how we feel, we can process it, and give ourselves positive reinforcement while moving toward our goals. I think we tend to do much better when we do these things for ourselves. I mean, I can't think of one time that I can truly tell you I felt motivated to do something when I judged myself so harshly. Actually, the opposite was true. I was afraid to try certain things for fear of what would happen if I failed. When we're true to our essential self, our motivation arises from a place of love. But when we're coming from our false ego self, our motivation arises from self-criticism and fear. From my own past experience, I've concluded there are a few things that need to be in place in order to foster a sense of self-compassion. And I hope these tips really help you. Number one is to surrender. Surrender to what is in the moment. Just release all your resistance and let go. Remember, it's our stressful relationship to what is that really keeps us stuck. Secondly, allow your feelings. Just allow the feelings, allow your experience to be what it is. Allowance and self-compassion really, really go together. And the third tip is non-identification. So in other words, don't allow yourself to rest your sense of self on your emotions or the story of what's going on around you. Remember, we are not our emotions, we are not our behaviors, and we're not our thoughts. We're something beyond all of those things. Our true self is a perfect and changeless, and it comes from a place of pure love and light. I want to lead you through a meditation to help foster a sense of self-compassion. So if you're driving or operating machinery, then come back to this later for safety's sake. I encourage you before we start to take your hands and place them over your heart center. And by touching ourselves in a loving and compassionate way, we release all those feel-good chemicals into our system. Find a comfortable position, either laying down or sitting in your chair, and slowly draw your attention to your breath. Close your eyes. And without changing the breath, just notice where you feel it mostly in your body. Notice the pacing of your breath. Notice the depth of your breath. And notice if your heart is beating fast or if it's soft and rhythmic. Begin to deepen your breath. Draw the breath down into the low belly. Fill up, and then exhale, completely releasing and letting go. Okay, with each inhale, draw the breath deeper and allow that depth just to bring you here more fully into the present moment. With each exhale, lengthen the breath and allow it to relax you, relaxing you further into your chair, into your body, into yourself. Now bring to mind someone who you love very deeply, and seeing or sensing this person, notice your feelings that arise. Maybe you have a smile across your face or a smile behind your heart. Now let go of this person in your imagination and keep your attention on the feelings that came up for them. Bring yourself to mind now. Can you offer loving kindness to yourself by letting these words become your words? May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I ride the waves of my life. May I live in peace, no matter what I am given. And notice any feelings or emotions that come up and just let them be. Now bring to mind someone who's always supported you, who's always been there for you. Bring this person into your imagination and imagine they're sitting right across from you as you let these words become your words. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you ride the waves of your life. May you live in peace, no matter what you are given. Now, bring to mind someone in your life you have a conflict with, someone who's difficult or who annoys you, but not the most difficult person, just someone who irritates you. And see if you can let these words become your words as you keep this person in your mind. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you ride the waves of your life. May you live in peace, no matter what you are given. And notice any felt sensations or emotions that arise, and just let them be just as they are. Now, bring to mind your community, your family, your neighbors, maybe your co-workers, your friends. Just extend this out to all the people and living beings on the planet. Include yourself in the offering as you let these words become your words. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we ride the waves of our lives. May we live in peace, no matter what we are given. And just notice any felt sensations or emotions that arise within you, sitting with them just for a moment. And slowly start to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Allow your awareness just to softly come back into the room. Let a little bit of light filter through your eyelashes. And slowly, slowly take a deep inhale through the nose. And an exhale through your mouth. Good. Take another deep inhale. And let it go, exhaling. Good. And now I'd like to talk about our second topic, how EFT helps us act in a more self-compassionate way. When we use EFT regularly, it makes us more aware or more conscious. Our ability to observe our thoughts, emotions, and life situations is really heightened. For instance, we may notice our negative thoughts and our emotions, but we can recognize that this is what I'm thinking, or see that this is what I'm feeling, but that's not really me. That's not who I am. We begin to see that we're not our thoughts, that we're not our emotions, and we're not our behaviors. So it's with this realization that we lose the need to build our identity around them. And the act of tapping is self-compassionate. Think about the setup statement. We're acknowledging what our issue is. We're speaking our truth about it, what we believe or how it makes us feel or what thoughts come to mind. And then despite this issue, we're stating that we love and accept ourselves. It's good to be specific as you can with tapping. And that's why it's a really great idea to work with a coach or a practitioner. And in a few minutes, I'm going to share with you a fairly generalized tapping script I've created to help you release resistance you might feel about showing yourself more compassion. But first, I would like to switch gears. Just imagine showing up every day confident, calm, and relaxed. You feel supported and loved by the universe. You're ready to shine your light. If all of this were possible, what would you be? What would you do? What would you have in your life that you don't have now? To help you discover your blocks to success, I'd like to spend some time with you creating a vision of what your life could look like in a year from now. It's completely complimentary and it's fun. I'm offering you a breakthrough to self-empowerment session, and the offer is open to you whether you're listening to the EFT radio show live or whether you're listening to the archives. Please join me to tap in, tune in, and turn on that loving kindness. And tapping on the side of the hand. Even though I sometimes judge myself, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm really hard on myself, I choose to be gentle with myself now. Even though I find it hard to have compassion for myself, I choose to feel self-compassion right now. Eyebrow, all the judgment. Side of the eye, all the criticism. Under the eye, I can be so hard on myself. Under the nose, when did I learn to judge myself so harshly? Under the mouth, why am I always criticizing myself? Collarbone, all the judgment. Under the arm, all the mean things I think about myself. Top of the head, why am I always beating myself up? Eyebrow, I wonder if I can try to forgive myself. Side of the eye, maybe I can choose to have some compassion for myself. Under the eye, I want to forgive myself. I know I'm doing the best I can with what I have. Under the nose, I deserve compassion. Under the mouth, I deserve forgiveness. Collarbone, I deserve to let this judgment go. Under the arm, I'm letting go of my self-criticism right now. Top of the head, I'm letting go of all that judgment and all the hurt and learning to be kinder to myself. Eyebrow, I'm feeling more self-compassion each time I tap. Side of the eye, more loving kindness. Under the eye, more self-acceptance. Under the nose, I'm sorry that I judged you. Chin, I'm sorry that I criticized you. Collarbone, I'm sorry I was so harsh with you. Under the arm, please forgive me. Top of the head, thank you. I love you. Good. And just release that. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose and let go. Exhale. Another deep breath in and release it. So do you notice any felt sensations in your body or any images, maybe thoughts, maybe emotions? If you do, just jot them down and maybe take some time later to go back and tap on them. Well, that's it for our show today, folks, and I'm so glad you took the time to be here. Before I go, I'd like to invite you to visit my website, purpose-power-peace.com, or contact me at Stephenie, that's Stephenie, at purpose-power-peace.com. and claim your breakthrough to self-empowerment session, where we'll create a personalized strategy for living your best life. From one fellow peace seeker to another, I say the highest in me acknowledges and bows to the highest in you. Namaste.